Groovy English podcast.
Hey there! Welcome back to Groovy English. I'm Chloe.
And I'm Aiden. We share real stories, useful tips, and everyday English to help you grow with confidence.
Wherever you are in your English learning journey, we're glad you're here.
If you're enjoying the podcast, feel free to like, subscribe, or share it with a friend.
Let's get started.
Hey there, language lovers. Welcome back to Groovy English, the podcast where we chat about real-life English, personal growth, and how language connects us all. I'm Olivia, and today's episode is super special to me because it's something that shapes how I live, work, and think every single day. Today's topic? Being bilingual is my superpower. Yep, you heard that right. I'm not wearing a cape or flying through the sky, but being bilingual has absolutely changed my life in powerful ways. And if you're learning a second language or already speak more than one, I want you to realize just how incredible that really is. So grab a drink, get comfy, and let's talk about what makes bilingualism such a hidden superpower. Let's start with the truth. Being bilingual isn't always easy. When I first started learning English as a second language, I didn't feel powerful at all. I felt awkward, embarrassed. I had that constant fear of saying something silly or using the wrong word. I remember one time in school, I meant to say, "I'm full" after lunch, but I said something that translated into, "I'm pregnant." Yep, everyone laughed. I wanted to disappear. But here's the thing, mistakes like that, they taught me resilience. They made me curious. They pushed me to learn more. And slowly, that awkwardness started turning into something stronger, confidence. The first superpower of being bilingual? Courage. You learn to speak even when your voice shakes. You learn to try again even when people don't understand you. That kind of courage doesn't just help with language, it helps with everything. What I love about being bilingual is how it opens up two entire worlds. When I speak my native language, I feel grounded. It's familiar, emotional, full of childhood memories. But when I switch to English, it feels like I step into a different version of myself. One that's a little more expressive, more confident, more willing to speak up. Have you ever felt that? Like your personality shifts depending on the language you're using? There's actually research on this. Psychologists have found that bilingual people often develop dual identities. And that's not a bad thing. It's like having emotional and cultural flexibility. You can navigate different spaces with ease. That leads me to the second superpower, perspective. Being bilingual gives you multiple ways to see the world. You understand that there's not just one right way to say or do something. It makes you more open-minded, more empathetic, and more adaptable. You can read between the lines of cultures, jokes, and values. That's powerful. Let's talk about something practical, opportunities. Because let me tell you, being bilingual has opened doors for me that would have been locked tight otherwise. Jobs, collaborations, scholarships, international friendships. I've worked in different countries, taken on projects with people from around the globe, and been chosen because I could speak two languages. In interviews, people light up when they hear I'm bilingual. Why? Because it signals something. It says, this person is curious, flexible, and willing to learn. You don't even have to be fluent to start getting those benefits. Just showing that you're learning another language already puts you ahead. So what's the third superpower? Access to new people, new experiences, new knowledge. Imagine being able to read books in 2 languages, understand memes from different countries, or travel without feeling lost. That's access, and access is power. This one's personal. Over time, I started noticing that I think differently in English than I do in my native language. My inner voice even sounds different when I switch. In English, I tend to be more direct. I ask for what I want. I even encourage myself in English when I'm nervous, like, "You got this, Olivia. Let's go." But in my first language, I'm a little softer, a bit more cautious. Why does this happen? Language affects thought. The words you have shape the thoughts you think. This means being bilingual doesn't just give you 2 ways to speak. It gives you 2 ways to think. So the fourth superpower? Cognitive flexibility. Your brain literally becomes more agile. You solve problems more creatively. You switch between tasks faster. Studies even show that bilingual people may delay the effects of aging on the brain. How amazing is that? I'll never forget the moment I realized how deeply language connects us. I was traveling and met someone from Brazil. We didn't share a first language, but we both knew English. We talked for hours about food, music, relationships, life. And even though we came from completely different places, we understood each other. Not just the words, but the feelings. That's what language does. It builds bridges. Being bilingual means I can connect with people I never would have met otherwise. I've made friends in cafes, online forums, at hostels, and in classrooms. All because we shared English. So the fifth superpower? Connection. Real, human connection. Language is how we tell stories. How we say, "I love you," or "I'm sorry," or "You're not alone." Every time you use your second language to comfort, to joke, to be there, you're using your superpower. Now, I want to address a few myths. Because sometimes, people believe things that just aren't true. You have to be perfect in both languages. Nope. You can be bilingual and still make mistakes. You can have an accent. You can forget words. That doesn't make you less bilingual. It makes you human. Only kids can become fluent. Wrong again. Adults can absolutely learn and thrive in new languages. In fact, we're often better at understanding grammar or nuances. Your brain might work differently, but it's still powerful. Bilingual people mix up their languages all the time. Okay. Yes, sometimes we mix. But code switching is actually a skill. It means your brain is fast and adaptable. Don't let these myths steal your confidence. Being bilingual is valid at any level. So if you're on this journey, how do you grow your bilingual superpower? First, practice fearlessly. Speak even when you're not ready. Write, even if it's messy. Your confidence grows from use. Second, immerse yourself. Watch movies. Listen to podcasts like this one. Read out loud. Talk to yourself in the shower. Sing. Third, make it emotional. Connect your second language to things you love. Your hobbies, your goals, your values. And finally, celebrate the small wins. Every time you understand a joke, answer a question, or have a meaningful conversation, that's a win. That's your superpower at work. Sometimes I think about what my life would be like if I hadn't become bilingual. And honestly, it would feel smaller, less connected, less rich. I wouldn't have half the friendships I have now. I wouldn't be hosting this podcast, talking to you. Being bilingual has also taught me humility. There are moments when I'm the outsider in a room, when I don't understand what's being said. But those moments remind me what it feels like to be new. And because of that, I'm more patient, more welcoming, especially to others learning my first language. I've noticed how my bilingual brain helps in situations that have nothing to do with language. I stay calmer under pressure. I look for different angles when solving a problem. I even multitask better because switching between languages is like training your brain at the gym every day. And here's something beautiful. When I speak in English with someone who's also learning, we become teammates. It's not about who's better. It's about helping each other, correcting gently, cheering each other on. That sense of solidarity is powerful. I want to say this loud and clear. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. Your accent is a story. Your effort is strength. Your mistakes are just stepping stones. If you've ever felt less than because you speak English with pauses or look for words, don't. You're doing something incredible. You're using a second language to express your thoughts, your humor, your dreams. That's magic. Being bilingual also gives me gratitude. It reminds me how much work goes into understanding someone else. It reminds me not to take words for granted. And yes, there are still days when I mess up, when I say something odd or forget a word. But now, instead of feeling ashamed, I laugh. I ask for help. I keep going. Because this superpower, it doesn't disappear when things get hard. It shows up even stronger. Some days, I feel like I'm living in between languages, like I'm not fully one or the other. But over time, I've realized that's not a weakness. That's my identity. I belong in that in-between space. That's where the magic happens. And if you're on that journey too, I want you to know you're not alone. Every bilingual person I know has felt the same. But that in-between space? It's where your strength grows. When I first started learning my second language, I didn't think of it as a superpower. It felt more like homework, like something I had to do, not something that would transform my life. But the more I stuck with it, the more I realized that speaking two languages wasn't just about knowing more words. It was about unlocking new worlds. Suddenly, I could connect with people I'd never have been able to understand before. I could watch movies without subtitles. I could feel included. Another unexpected benefit? Empathy. Learning another language forces you to listen more carefully, to observe more deeply. When you're bilingual, you don't just translate words. You start to pick up on tone, rhythm, emotion. You notice how people speak, not just what they say. And that made me more patient, not just as a speaker, but as a human being. It also gave me confidence. There's something incredibly empowering about having the ability to switch between languages. It's like having a secret tool in your back pocket. Whether I'm navigating a crowded market in a foreign city or helping a friend translate a message, I feel equipped. I feel capable. I feel like I belong in more than one place. Being bilingual has even helped my brain. Studies show it improves memory, focus, and problem solving. And I believe it. Switching between two languages exercises my mental flexibility. I've noticed I'm better at multitasking, and I've become more creative in how I express myself, even in my native language. Another beautiful thing about being bilingual, you learn to embrace imperfection. No matter how fluent you are, there are moments when you mess up. When you forget a word. When you pronounce something wrong. But over time, you stop fearing those moments. You start to see them as part of the process. Being bilingual taught me that making mistakes is just part of learning and living. It also helped me appreciate my own culture more. When you view your native language through the lens of another, you start to notice the quirks, the idioms, the beautiful phrases you never paid attention to before. You gain a fresh appreciation for where you come from even as you explore new cultural landscapes. In job interviews, bilingualism became a strength I could confidently mention. It wasn't just about the languages I spoke. It was about how they shaped me. They showed that I was adaptable, open-minded, and resilient. These weren't just language skills. They were life skills. And let's not forget the friendships. Some of the closest connections I've made were possible because I spoke another language. From casual conversations in cafes to deep late-night talks with roommates abroad, language made those bonds possible. And those moments made the hard work worth it. I've also noticed how being bilingual helps me be a better communicator overall. I choose my words more thoughtfully. I listen more actively. I try to make space for people who are still learning, just like others once did for me. It's like being bilingual rewired my brain to focus less on sounding perfect and more on making people feel understood. Finally, being bilingual reminds me daily that growth is always possible. We're not stuck with the minds we're born with. We can learn, adapt, and become more than we thought we could be. Every time I speak in my second language, I feel that truth echoing in my voice. So, to all of you out there who speak two languages or are working hard to learn a second one, remember this: you have a superpower. It might not be flashy. It might not show up on a resume. But it's real. It's in the way you connect, the way you grow, the way you try. Wear it proudly. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Groovy English. I hope this inspired you to see your bilingual journey not as a burden, but as your strength. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend who's learning a language. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you haven't already. It helps the podcast reach more amazing learners like you. Until next time, keep learning, keep connecting, and keep using your voice.
Your English is shining brighter by the minute. Hit that next video to keep leveling up your skills. Or dive into our other episodes for more secrets to talk like a pro. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to join the Groovy English crew.